Sander. So I'll start off by talking a little bit about some of the history of a belt sander, where it came from, different models, pricing, specifications, and then Dan can go in and
I'll give you a little bit of backers and safety, how things have changed.
Okay, so we'll first start off with the major brands. These are essentially more or less all the companies that make a belt sander. There's a few other minor ones, but didn't really have enough out there on the market to make that much an impact. But of these, we pretty much identified 4 that were the major manufacturers. We kind of decided on that based on how many models they produced and how many were available in stores. Some stores, there were some brands, for example, I believe it was Bosch, that was pretty much just in all the major stores. So using some of that criteria is how we came up with those major 4. From there, we'll go into a little bit about where each of them came from. Porter Cable was started in 1906. And then originally when they first came out, they did some manufacturing of some products for the automobile industry and some other miscellaneous tools here and there before they finally set a focus on power tools. And in 2005, they were purchased by Black & Decker. Bosch was founded in 1886 in Germany and introduced their first power drill in 1932. And now they're actually one of the manufacturers that owns 2 or 3 other major power tool brands. Ridgid was started in 1920 and originally had a big focus in plumbing and HVAC tools. And then one interesting thing we found about Ridgid is a majority of their tools actually carry a lifetime warranty, and that's something that a lot of the other manufacturers didn't have. And last, Ryobi, founded in 1943, currently owned by a Hong Kong company. Make a lot of OEM things for Craftsman and Ridgid, and they're sold exclusively in Home Depot. Okay, now we'll go into a little about some of the pricing and specifications of each of the models. They're more or less roughly about the same, with the exception of Ryobi carries quite a bit cheaper price tag. Porter Cable and Bosch are 2 of the higher end belt sander companies. There's essentially 2 basic layouts when it comes to a belt sander: transverse and inline. Essentially set up similar to an inline car drivetrain or transverse drivetrain. Inline essentially has the motor in a parallel position with the belt, and the transverse obviously sits perpendicular. Some people say there's advantages to having the inline set up as opposed to the transverse. Some say that having the belt inline puts a large belt onto the side of the sander, and some people claim that it can give you kind of offset center of gravity and make it a little hard to use. Some people say it's not an issue, so it's kind of just a personal preference thing. They all did feature a dust collector. That seems to be pretty much a standard feature. Amperage, RPM ranges. Now these aren't necessarily specific to each of the models you see at the bottom, but just in general to each brand. And the pounds. The interesting thing about Porter Cable is I could actually not find anything about the rating as far as how much they weighed. And I think it might be because I think they use a lot of metal housings, which make them really heavier and substantially heavier than the rest. So I imagine they probably just don't really want you to know how heavy they really are. And these are most of the features you'll find on a typical belt sander. I'll just go ahead and click all the way through them. Some of these will include some of the safety features in blue, rate sander features in gray, and then you'll find a lot of the human interface in blue. A lot of them do have, and Dan will kind of go into this, safety switch similar to like a gun has. So until you press that switch, you can't actually engage the belt. As well as other safety features like a hand guard, some other adjustments for switching out the blade and adjusting the center track of the sandpaper itself so that it's sitting in the center and not sliding to either side.
All right, let's get into human factors now.
There you go.
Let me get that first. Okay, start with the chart. Boom. Okay. First of all, first thing you're going to do is try to figure out where this thing is. You're going to use basically cognitive and behavioral to try to figure out where you put this thing last. You're going to be shifting through those. And then basically right now the machine's inert, it's off, you didn't even plug it in right now. You're just kind of trying to get it ready to be used. It's all pre-operational. Also during pre-operational, the best possible time to change out and remove your sanding belt. The reason to do this is because it was either chewed up from use or basically just full of sawdust and everything from the last time. To do this, you basically take the belt off, and you flip the thing inside.
You got about 1 more minute.
Alright, you disengage it. Let's do this turbo.
I'm starting to
Disengage
fall
the lock,
asleep.
the locking mechanism right here. That's going to open up and release the tension on both rollers. Once that's the way that is, oops, I pressed the wrong button. Anyway, once that's open, ready to go, you slide the belt on, as you can see in this. The operational task, it's now the machine's ready to be used. You can see that right here. Basically, you grip both hand grips on the casing, and you position the device over the wood that you want to sand it. Push it down on the wood, start sanding. It all has to do with how much pressure you put on the board, and that's how much you'll remove from land. Let's see. Again, cognitive behavioral. Also, you get a safety. A lot of times there's hand guards to make sure your hands don't come in contact with the belt at any time because you'll lose a finger and that one's up. And also there's guards, again, like he mentioned, that keep the belt from moving left to right while you're also using it. Also possible improvements we figured out, especially in use, the cord. If we can find an internalized way to keep the power source, we don't have to worry about the cord getting in our way or possibly sanding it over and electrocuting ourselves. Also, the bagless approach would be the best way to keep all the dust and debris and particles and stuff both out of the air in your face and out of the way while you're trying to sand. You don't want to sand with the dry bag in the way, just like everything, just like all of them. We could try to figure out a way to keep it low, kind of shoot it off to the side or out of the way. Post-operational, again, what you're going to do is you're going to try to disengage the machine. Again, another safety feature is the safety device, just like on a gun. Sometimes you have to have that engage or disengage in order to start or stop it so you don't accidentally start sanding randomly in the air. Let's see. Again, unplugging everything, using cognition and behavior. Also, possible improvements could be a status light, so you know whether or not it's on or off, or if it's plugged in, sometimes you forget. It's a huge safety feature as well, to make sure you don't accidentally push the button and all of a sudden you're standing at your table. Alright, the loop tasks. These are the tasks that are mundane, they kind of suck, and you have to do them anyway, and they're really a pain in the ass. You have to unlock the bag, take it off. The problem with that is when you unlock it, the bag's open, full of sawdust. So
You're at
basically,
7.5 minutes right now.
okay, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I guess just the loop task again, I'm just replacing the bag and storing the device, basically, and replacing the belts. Other than that, there we go. It's the same thing. Good. At least we're on time.